Hey,
Right.
Ian.
Hello. Another beautiful day in the desert. We're getting back on this Zephyr. Just wanted to say, big thanks to everyone that's a subscriber. We're so close to 100K right now. It matters. Please subscribe. If we get to 100K, then we're verified. And that's important. We get this cool plaque, and we can begin the greater adventures. As if these adventures haven't been great enough. Come on.
Right.
I'm talking big stuff happening.
Big.
Oh, big business. I mean, a lot of people, thanks for your comments. Also, comment, like, subscribe. Because I don't really know what I'm doing here, right? So a lot of people do know what they're doing. They're like, well, if you flip the shackle, it would be this much lower. And I'm trying to get it as low as possible, right? So, I get it. It's like, well, why are you hanging it like that? When if you put everything on upside down, if you turn the shackles like that, then in the car, you're putting the spring perch up here. The way it was, see, the spring was that much lower. It was down here on that bolt. So I like that idea.
Ah.
I said I like that idea. Thanks. You know who you are. I think four or five people said that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not too deep into this project to flip it and reverse it. I finish up the welding here. See, that's when I realized, I was like, man, I have to take the leaf springs out. And somebody said, can you unbolt the leaf springs now that you've done all that? And yeah, that's how I got it apart. See, you just take the bolts out. So in thinking about that, I made this little jiggy jig. That is the length between the two bolts, right? Check, check. So I was thinking, what I was worried about is the shackle, if it's going like this, as it swings, is it going to interfere with the fender, etc.? So I was thinking, well, if I set this up kind of like that and swivel it, can you see that? You know what I'm saying, right? Let's just put it on the top of that. So yeah, as it swivels down, I don't see it making a dang lick of difference. It's just going to be about that low. Because it's going to be installed like this. As the spring stretches, as it gets longer, it doesn't actually stretch, but as it compresses, it'll get longer. So that'll move down that way. Thanks, viewers. You're making a professional looking assembly here. As Jamie said, it's a community.
It is.
So what I'm going to do, I finished all the welding here, so this is very strong. The measurements are correct, symmetrical side to side, etc. So I didn't weld this plate on. I'm going to take this plate off. I'm going to saw through or grind through the welds that are there. I'm going to take this cross member off, flap it, slap it, reverse it, all those things without gouging myself on this piece of sheet metal. Look at these hands, they're getting better. I gotta wear more gloves. Somebody also commented on the bug build video. They're like, hey, that block sander looks like the cross member from the other video. Good eye.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that comment.
Good eye.
That's
Put that
funny.
support back in here. He's like, that looks just like that cross member I saw clamped onto that Zephyr.
That's so funny.
So just to keep these chassis rails where they're supposed to be when we take all that bracing out. Never seems like the shop is big enough, even outside. It's so windy today. We're gonna have a real problem welding too. I might just tack this and bring the whole kit inside because it's spring and the wind ain't stopping. Easier said than done. Wait, there it is. All right, quick layout for the uninformed. This is in the car, like that. All right, so this is in the car like that, right? Let's not get overly complicated with the mock-up. So we're gonna take it and do that. So do you see how that makes this higher up in the car?
Mm-hmm.
So all we need to do, actually, no, we're not, because when this swings, it's going to swing and knock into that. See what I'm saying? We're going to take this and flip it again. We're going to take this and do this, maybe. So that as it swings, so you got that much. That's not a lot of arc. It's not a lot of range, fellas. I mean, it is some.
So I'd like to ask a question. I know you're kind of deep in thought right now. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is what's the difference between the way you originally had done it and now trying it out this way. I don't really get what the thing is.
The crossmember was up here.
Yeah.
So as this gets longer, this swings forward. So you don't want it to hit anything. So see, I'm getting that much range till it hits.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, it was swinging free. There was nothing in the way.
So you're just trying to decide which way would be better, the cross member above or below.
Well, it's definitely going to be better below because it's going to lower it. But we need to get this. That is as far out of the way as we can go. I mean, I guess it would end up hitting if it was the opposite too. It's just not a lot of linear movement, I wonder. I know what we could do. We could lay this out on the table with a string, and we can measure. That's what we can do from straight to flat and see how much it takes. I thought we were just going to do some welding. Here we go.
The plot thickens.
Because in a straight line, it's going to be one measurement, but as it flattens out, it gets longer. So this spring, it won't get perfectly straight. It won't get flat. It's just going to get a little bit longer. But just to say roughly, coming over the top of this from the center, it's 63 inches. So like, just, okay, for all the way from the end, let's just do that. From the outside, it's about 65. But when you come in the straight measurement, straight across, it's 61 and a half. So 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So it can get 3.5 inches longer. So is that 3.5 inches? It's 3.5 inches. Wow. Maybe it's gonna work. Huh. Definitely heard my enthusiasm in that last wow, didn't you?
So basically, a few people commented that you would get more room putting it this way.
They commented that the car will be lower
and it
because
will be
this, yeah.
lower. Ah.
Nobody commented about this little snafu we're approaching, but maybe they knew that these shackles allow for that. I don't know. What do I look like? Some kind of fabricator?
Yeah.
So from there to full hit is only 3 inches. Maybe we could cheat it a little bit. Maybe we could just push this forward like that. I don't think that would hurt it. Maybe we assemble it like that. That's 4.5 inches. Wow. Maybe we'll just set it up like this. That'll be more prone to making that spring stretch and be under a lot of tension, no question. You just have to match these angles side to side. I think we could do that. Let's try that. Let's put this in the car like this. We're definitely gonna have to narrow it because it's gonna fit between the frame rails, I believe. Yeah, so this is gonna sit. Looks like this is gonna sit in here now. So yeah, we're gonna have to narrow this. Put this on the saw. Chop it. Right now we are 44, so yeah, 1/4 inch off each side. Easy peasy.
Oh wow, you don't really have to shorten it that much more.
Well, it was as long as the chassis is wide, so by putting it inside, it's just the wall thickness. It's just this thickness of the chassis that we're taking off.
Mm.
This might be a bit challenging. Have to cut out a bunch of sheet metal, I think. Is that what I said? It goes in like this. I have to take my cross brace out. Let me mark this so I can clamp it back in place in the right width. Hopefully it doesn't go ding.
No.
Good thing I put that cross brace on there. All right. Dyslexia gets you. Ha! Put it right back where it was. Why do we even put this brace on there? We don't need it. This car is rigid, strong. Didn't move at all.
Oh, you were worried when you clicked it into place that it would then fall apart. Okay, gotcha.
Well, not necessarily fall apart, but fall to pieces. Any one of a number of things could have happened. Okay, so I'm hitting this pan right here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It ain't no more. All right, so
Wow.
we have to cut a lot of this out. Sure are. So I got this line here. And take that straight across. Might want to step away from the vehicle.
Oh yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Okay, so getting this sheet metal out of place, you can see that this is way too high. This has got to be hung from underneath the chassis. It's going to put our shackles up above the fender. That might make it a little difficult to assemble also, but I got it in once. By the time, so this is just to the center of the bolts. By the time we get all that extra gear on there, man, this is going to be tough. I think it's going to be somewhere half and half. I think hanging below is going to be too deep. Who said it was going to be easy? I want names. The big clamps. I don't know, folks. I had an idea, but I'm never one to say I'm a know-it-all. That's why we're trying this out. Interesting mock-up.
Yikes.
It's definitely going to lower the car, but springs are too narrow. I don't know. Let's put one in and see if it. I might just have to cut this out, which is, is what it is.
So if you put the spring in and it doesn't work and all the structure that you cut out, are you going to be able to put it back the way that it was?
Oh yeah. I think we're gonna get what we can out of it. It's definitely lower. It's not as low as I had hoped or thought this mod would do, but yeah, let's put that spring on. Let me get these clamps a little bit. Let me try to just get this centered up a little bit better before we put weight on it. All right, put this in and see what happens. I think it's gonna work. All right, that looks pretty cool. But I think what we're going to have to do is slide this cross member back. Because remember we were saying, I want the angle of these shackles, I want it to be a little forward to get it out of the way of this. So hopefully this would be like the max that comes rearward. I don't know. Let's loosen up this a little bit and see if we can get out of it without the whole thing coming kaput. Just going to tap it diligently and gently and all the other things. That moved us back reasonably far, huh? We'll just use that as a reference for both sides. Just don't like that. So as this swings, it's going to get taller. It's coming up into the body. It was going to work. It was all set. We were going to bolt the axle in today.
Oh, man.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bolt this together loosely. I'm going to tack weld it, and we're going to bolt the axle in and see what it does. If it fouls, I'm going to have to redo everything. And I'm ready. I'm here for that. It's going to hit. It's not going to work, but maybe without any weight in the car, we can at least roll it inside. So I got that tacked. I'm going to leave those clamps on it just so we could test and see what develops. I'm going to pop these tires off. It's interesting with these springs. I'm going to look into this. Every spring I've seen has a hole in it where that stack of leaf springs has a bolt through it, and then their bolt index is in the hole. These have a little knob on them. So that doesn't really add up to an axle flip. Or maybe I'll come up with something. But yeah, pretty interesting that these springs have this on it. Typically, you just take the axle, put it on the other side of the spring, and the hole orients the spring pack to the axle. So all that adds up to right now is the axle will have the ability to shift a little bit, but I'm going to bolt that in place just to get this rolling and in the shop. I got ideas for this lift about big joules progress, so I'm going to try to get this thing on 2 tires and off the lift and out of the wind. Let's see how it develops. So I don't like wearing gloves, you have no grip. All right, so as I mentioned, we got these little knobbers here that really aren't doing anything for us because the axle's on the other side. See? Typically, these are on the axle and they go right in. So the axle can't do that. So I have to come up with something. Maybe even I don't know, whatever retainer I have on this side with bolts, I can locate that, or I'm going to call out to my friend who does springs and say, hey, what do you do in this situation? But for now, I could set the axle up on this perch. We'll figure out how to locate it. Get a leaf spring, I'll just roughly guesstimate it to be right about there. Let's see which one of these things fits. Tom gave me a couple of them. I think one's GM and one's Ford. This is a Ford 9-inch. These have a slot in it, so it wouldn't index it perfectly, but if we can get something on this, let me see if this is the one. That's the one. Sweet. All right, let me get some WD-40 and see if I can't find 2 more nuts for that. So without even really putting weight on it, you can see, watch this coming in. now it's just distorting the body. I mean, I can make it work, you know, the fender, but I don't know if I want to. Because what happens is it come back even further, you know, if we take this up, you can see the line of the fender welt right here. So we're coming right up to it.
That's awfully close.
I mean, of course, I could drop the crossmember down a 1/4 inch also. It's not terrible. It's doing the same on both sides. Unless I drop this crossmember, 1/4 inch, clear that out. And getting a car low is a challenge. It's difficult. But I was going to put 4-inch lowering blocks on the axle and be done with it. But here we are. But either way, let me put the tires on and we'll roll it out.
So the episode's not finished. You want me to continue?
Well, I thought it was going to be a happily ever after scenario, and unfortunately, it's just deeper into the mire scenario. Because I had a plan, and it is my fault. I listened. I effed around and found out. It clears.
So what's the verdict? What you thinking?
I'm going to try to get it inside, weld it some more, and fit up the fender. See if I can maybe trim this little tab off, see how close this comes. Worst case, I put another 1/4 inch shim in between that cross member. Just bring it up that much. But look at the running board to the ground. That's a great height. So doing this shackle flip thing definitely lowered it, which is cool. So if I would have known before I got into this, I might have done it different, but here we are. It's gonna work.